Hello everyone, today we're going to have a little look at kOS, which is a mod that allows you to write programs which will run on your vessels and can automate various actions and either make life a little easier for you or actually completely control the craft autonomously. Now in this first video we're going to have a little look at the interface and I'm going to show you some basic commands that just demonstrate that the mod's actually working for you. Now you can play along as you watch, and if you're able to, I'd advise you to do so, because the best way to learn usually is to do it yourself and sort of try different things, see what works, see what breaks, and that's definitely something that's helped me in the past. So the first thing we need to do, of course, is to put a little craft together. I'm not going to do anything that will actually fly for the purpose of this video, so it's just going to be a little probe core. And if you look at your command and control modules, you'll see these two items with scriptable control system in their name, and these are the ones that you want to add to your ship. Now the parts in this mod rely on having power available, otherwise they shut down, so we're going to add a nice big battery pack and a couple of solar panels just to keep it going. That should do us for now. So here we are on the launch pad. If you look at the top right of your screen, you should see a little button labelled kOS, and this gives you a list of all the craft you have with scriptable parts on board. So if you find the one that you're actually looking at right now and want to work with, you click the terminal button on the right hand side there, and that brings up the terminal, which is your main way of interacting with the mod. For example, if I want it to print out a message, I can type print, followed by the message in quotes. Full stop is always used to terminate lines in kOS, and the message is printed out as expected. Now the real power with kOS comes with the ability to write scripts and then execute them later, or to call them from other scripts. To do this, I'm going to type edit, followed by the name of the program I want to create, and a full stop as always. And it brings up a separate little window beneath in which I can write the program. So I'm just going to do it exactly the same as before. It's just going to print out that same message. Save and exit. And now back in the main terminal, if I type run and then the name of the program and a full stop of course, it prints out the message and then lets me know the program's ended. Now there are multiple places that scripts can be saved in kOS. For example, the script I just wrote was saved directly to this ship, which means that no other ship will have access to that script. It also means that if I revert the launch, then the script won't exist anymore because I'm reverting back to a time before I wrote it. Alternatively, there is persistent storage, where scripts are saved at the Kerbal Space Center itself. Ships can run scripts from that central store, though that gets tricky if you have remote tech installed because you'll need to maintain that satellite link back to Kerbal Space Center. But luckily the scripts can be transferred between the Space Center and the ship, so you can write your scripts in that central location, and then before you launch you can copy the script to your ship and run it there. So right now if I list the files that are on the ship currently, you'll see that I have my scripts I just wrote and nothing else. There's a limited amount of space on the ship, and that is based on which actual scriptable part you have. If I switch to looking at the storage at the Space Center, there's this command switch to, which you give a volume number. Kerbal Space Center is 0 and the ship is 1. Now if I list the files here, what you'll see is a bunch of libraries and some messing around I've done, and the autopilot for my geostationary satellite network. And you'll also notice that the free space remaining is infinite. The Space Center itself doesn't have any storage limits. All of the scripts at the Space Center can be edited as normal, so for example if I wanted to edit that Hello2 program, I can do that. And all this program does is print out a fairly obvious message, and that was one of the first tests I ran way back. But say I wanted to copy that script to the ship, there's a command copy, not copt, and just give it the name of the program and where you want to copy it to, so ship is volume number 1. And now if I switch back to the ship and list the files, you'll see that I now have both of the two hello programs on the ship. And as usual I can run the script directly on the ship. And to demonstrate running from the Space Center, it's exactly the same process, you just use run with the name of the script, and it runs as if it was local to the ship. So that's the basics of interacting with the mod and the use of the 2 volumes for storage. I am going to be making more videos on kOS of course, and I'm going to discuss the programming language and some of the typical uses for the mod. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.